Well, live. Oh, whoops. That was bad timing on my part. You are watching the video edition of the Special Chronicles show. This is episode 391. You'll be able to join Southern Shriver International Global Messengers. I feel like we should have like a voice behind the scenes to say this, but maybe if Christy wants to unmute her mic and then turn her camera off, she can okay, and then just turn her camera off. She'll be able to. I'm gonna add her to the stream, and then if she wants to give a little an introduction preview for the video viewers.
Wait a second, Dana. Okay.
You can just read the text that's on the screen. Join Southern Shriver for the video viewers. This is last minute. Notice, I know.
Dan, go ahead and you read it, okay?
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, I'll go ahead and remove you. All right. Join Southern Shriver. Did I remove you? Yeah. Join Southern Shriver International Global Messengers, Renee, Hanna, and Daniel, as they talk all things health with Special Olympics Chief Health Officer Dr. Alicia Bazzano. It's all coming up right now on SpecialChronicles.com. You can go to SpecialChronicles.com/show to subscribe to the podcast, as the audio podcast will be dropping on SpecialChronicles.com and podcast apps everywhere on Saturday, September 20, whatever this Saturday is, at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central, and all that is coming up right now on SpecialChronicles.com, and the show will be getting started in 3, 2, 1.
This is Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
Podcasting since 2008. This is a show where we're broadcasting disability stories from an insider's perspective, and we are giving a voice to people with special needs. This is your weekly guide to find and joy, acceptance, and inclusion.
I shudder thinking how The world can be so cruel. Lend my voice to those who can't. It's time we try, it's time we care, it's time we stand. It starts with a war.
Coming up on the Special Chronicles Show, episode 391, we welcome Dr. Alicia Bazzano, Chief Health Officer at Special Olympics International, for part 3 of our interview, talking all about all things health. And joining me on, so all that's coming up right now for our Inclusive Health Conversation series, right here on SpecialChronicles.com. Welcome back to this groundbreaking show on SpecialChronicles.com. My name is Daniel. I am the host and founder of Special Chronicles and a Southern Shriver International Global Messenger for Special Olympics. And joining me to co-host this episode is fellow Southern Shriver International Global Messengers, Renee, and calling in from Hawaii, and Hanna calling in from Colorado. Welcome back, Renee and Hanna.
Thank you, Daniel, so much. Such an honor to be here.
Thank you very much, Daniel. It's an honor to be here as well.
Awesome. And let's go ahead and put out, we were having such an awesome conversation during the pre-show before the show got started. And so we're excited to continue now for all on the digital airwaves, so all of our listeners to actually hear this awesome conversation. We're all matching, we're all wearing glasses. 3 of us all have the same shirts on, and so we'll go ahead and put our hands together as we welcome back to the Special Chronicles show, Dr. Alicia Bazzano, All Movements Chief Health Officer at Special Olympics.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here again.
Awesome. And for any new listeners, we want to remind them that they can go back and listen to that first 30-minute episode that you were on. I forgot which episode it was, but if our listeners go to specialchronicles.com/health, they can find that. And I forgot which episode that was, but it was 380 something, 380 something. but our listeners, as a second, go back onto specialchronicles.com/health and listen. So before we get introduced for our listeners, I want to remind our listeners that you can go to and I'm doing all this stuff. I don't have my video producer with me, but I want to remind everybody that you can go to that support for Special Chronicles comes from listeners like you. Please support this podcast at specialchronicles.com/give. That's specialchronicles.com/give. By November 2020, when we celebrate our 12-year anniversary of podcasting at Special Chronicles, can't believe it's been 12 years. But in celebration, we're trying to raise $12,000 so we can continue to bring you these podcasts. So you can go to specialchronicles.com/give and click the Give Now button to help support us today. And with that, why don't we go ahead around the virtual table. If we were in person, then we would be around a actual table, but virtual table and have when we introduce ourselves. So on the screen, we'll go to Renee, and then Hanna, and then Dr. Alicia. So we introduce ourselves, those by your family, professional background, and connection to Special Olympics and our health programs.
All right. Well, good morning, Daniel. Thank you so much for having me here again. It's so nice to be back. As mentioned, my name is Renee Manfredi. I am a Special Olympics athlete from the state of Hawaii. I am also a Sargent Shriver International Global Messenger and Health Messenger. My Special Olympics professional background is that as a health messenger, I have attended several conferences for inclusive health, such as the Inclusive Health Forum for the World Games in Abu Dhabi. I've also attended our grand rounds at Kaiser for here in Hawaii. And as a health messenger, my primary goal is to offer suggestions and ideas. My primary focus is to talk to doctors and offer suggestions on how best they can treat their patients that have intellectual and developmental disabilities. I am also a Special Olympics Hawaii staff member. I am the Athlete Leadership and Healthy Communities Assistant.
Awesome. And Hanna?
Of course. Thank you, Daniel. My name is Hanna Joy Atkinson. I'm a certified for international global messenger, health messenger, and a Special Olympic Colorado athlete. In ski racing and cycling, I'm devoted to living a healthy lifestyle. I am an Emmy Award winner, as well as a performing audiobook artist for Channel Kindness. I joined Renee in presenting at the Special Olympics North America Health Conference. I also assisted with Special Olympic Colorado Fitness Challenges and continue with my Cooking Health with Hanna series. I have stayed active with my family through this horrific pandemic by cycling, still climbing, running, and doing yoga. I was able to cycle with my Special Olympic team using precautions like temperatures, wearing signed in, wearing masks, staying 6 feet apart, washing hands before and after practice. I have been working hard to stay strong physically and mentally. Thank you.
Awesome. And Dr. Alicia?
Yes, hi. Hi, everybody again. So I'm the Chief Health Officer at Special Olympics International. I've been here for just a tiny bit over a year. So I'm looking at the three of you and thinking about the many, many years of experience you all have with Special Olympics. And I'm so excited to be able to have this conversation and learn from you. And I've gotten to know you all a little bit, and it's so much fun. You're just the greatest group of people. And I think everybody else listening, I think will enjoy our conversation as well. My big introduction, I think, to Special Olympics, I've worked with kids and adults with developmental disabilities my whole career. And I've been in Southern California and started a community clinic for kids and adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families. It's an inclusive health clinic, and moved on, did a lot of other work and spent a lot of time teaching, especially teaching healthcare providers, Renee, just like you do, at UCLA and beyond. And I got to go to the 2015 the World Games in LA. I don't know if you guys were there.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah. So I was sitting in the stands, and I've told the story a couple of times, but my kids were sitting next to me, and they were just enthralled. They were looking at this thinking, wow, they're thinking that they're at the other Olympics. And when I was there, and I had tears streaming in my eyes, and I was saying, this is the way it needs to be. I want to work here. These are the people I want to be with. These are the people I want to serve. And so luck had it, when the position came open, I kept in touch. I became a volunteer at a clinical director in Southern California. And then when this position became available, I grabbed it. So I'm so thrilled to be here. And I'm so happy to hear from all of you, especially Hanna. Very impressive to be able to hear that you're continuing your activities and returning to activities safely with our returning to activities protocols. So I hope we get to talk about that and really hear from you from the perspective of an athlete and how it's going. Yeah,
awesome. Well, we'll get into all that during the program. And I was noted behind the scenes that first episode that you were on, Dr. Alicia, for this Inclusive Health Conversation series was episode 381 of the Special Chronicles show. So just to let everybody know. And we'll put a link in the description of this episode. If people want to go back and listen. But now let's go ahead and we covered a little bit more of your backstory, Dr. Alicia, in that episode 381. But for this episode 391, which is it's kind of fitting that it was 10 episodes ago. But let's go ahead. We were gonna try to play a couple of video clips, but we're gonna share the audio with our listeners. So first up is a 2.5 minute video from Renee, and then we'll hear a 5-minute video from Hanna on their health messenger self-advocacy video. And so here's Renee. Oh wait, I should unmute the channel. Here we go. So here's Renee with her health messenger self-advocacy video.
Aloha, my name is Renee Manfredi, and I am a Special Olympics athlete from Hawaii. I compete in basketball, softball, swimming, and soccer. I am also a global messenger, a health messenger, and a Sargent Shriver International Global Messenger. I wanted to share about a struggle that I have going to the doctor. Because my disability can't be seen, some people question if I even have a disability. This is always frustrating because it makes me feel like I have to prove that I have a disability. The reason I want you to know I have a disability is so that you will help me, because I might need something explained to me in a different way. Or I might need my mom to join me for my doctor's appointments to help me advocate for myself, and I want my doctors to understand that. With COVID-19, there have been new encounters that I've had to face. So I thought I would share some information that might help prepare you for what you may encounter so that you can be a strong self-advocate for your health needs. During this time of COVID-19, hospitals and doctors are taking extra precautions. Whether you go to a hospital or a doctor's office, you may be stopped at the door by a healthcare professional who will ask you some questions. They will ask you personal questions like your name and date of birth. They will also ask you if you have any symptoms. This is a great opportunity to use the About Me form to help communicate your needs to your healthcare providers. The staff that greets you in front of the hospital will be wearing PPE or protective gear and may need to test you for COVID-19. It is important that you cooperate for this test. The hospital staff may ask your family or your support person to leave. Know that you can ask for this person to stay with you. In many cases, asking for support has worked for this person to stay. But if your family or support person has to leave, you may be able to call them on the phone or do a video call while speaking with your doctor. Even though this time can be overwhelming and maybe a little scary, remember, it is important for you to advocate for your own health needs.
Oh, I should unmute myself. I want to mention that you can watch these videos. We will put a link in the show notes for this episode 391 on SpecialChronicles.com. If you would like to watch these videos, we'll put a link to where you can watch them. And now, next up will be Hanna with her Health Messenger Self-Advocacy video message right here on SpecialChronicles.com.
Hi, my name is Hanna Atkinson. I'm a Special Olympics athlete from Colorado. I participate in skiing and cycling. I'm also a Sargent Shriver International Global Messenger. Today, I'm here to talk to you about the importance of being a good advocate for your own health. That is more important than ever right now with COVID-19. Part of being a good advocate is getting the most out of your doctor visits. Sometimes when I go to the doctor, I forget to ask all of the questions I have relating to my health. Even though we know doctors and nurses are there to help us. Visits with the doctor's office can be intimidating. I have learned to write down my questions, so I don't forget to ask all of them. I also bring someone that I trust to my doctor visits. That way I have an extra person to listen to the answers and maybe think of follow-up questions. Right now, everyone is concerned about COVID-19. When it comes to health issues, I think knowledge is power. We all should be aware of the symptoms that can develop for COVID-19. These symptoms may appear 2 to 14 days after exposure. Let's review them, starting with shortness of breath. Some of things that might happen with shortness of breath include tightness in your chest, feeling like you need to take more or deeper breaths, feeling like your body cannot get enough oxygen quickly enough, so you get lightheaded, feel like fainting. Shortness of breath can happen over a long period of time, or it can come on us suddenly, right out of the blue. Sometimes it can even strike while you're resting, like when you're sitting quietly at home. We need to listen. We need to know and listen to our bodies. During these days of staying at home, exercise is still really important. Cardio exercises is part of that. But if you find yourself unable to recover, you're breathing normally after working out, it is something you need to tell your doctor about. And if you experience extreme pain in your chest, confusion, or have bluish lips or face, don't wait. Call 911 and go to the hospital immediately. You should also contact your doctor or if you have at least 2 of these other symptoms of COVID-19. Fever of at least 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit or 37.8 degrees Celsius or higher. Cough, chills, repeated shaking with chills, muscle pain, headache, sore throat, loss of taste or smell. I know this time can be a little scary, but remember, it's important for you to be an advocate for your health more than anyone else. You know when you're not feeling right. We are all brave Special Olympics athletes, and we need to be bold in the questions we ask and bold in seeking out help from healthcare professionals. They are there to help us. Finally, we are so grateful to those healthcare professionals who are saving lives every day. They truly are heroes.
Awesome. And once again, that was Hanna with her video message. We will put links in the show notes on SpecialChronicles.com for episode 391, where you can go and check out these videos. And now I'll for the sake of time, we want to quickly move on to Renee and Hannah's segments that they're hosting, but I'll give you all a brief moment to comment on those videos. And I believe backstage in the chat, there was something that you wanted to bring up, Dr. Alicia, but I'll give you that opportunity now as well as for us all to share comments on those 2 videos.
Well, first of all, I loved the videos. I think that they were fantastic and incredibly helpful for all of us to be able to look at and listen to and understand that breakdown of exactly what's going to be happening when you're coming into the hospital setting, that, you know, you're sick and you're trying to interact with healthcare professionals, and they're all in their PPE and their gowns and their masks and so forth, and they're coming at you with the COVID testing. I think it's really important to just know that and be prepared for that. And that's what everybody's going through. And to know that you can ask people to stay with you, and that you, if they can't stay in person, they can stay on the phone or using video. I think that's incredibly important to know. And I'm so glad that it was in those films. You really represented that so well. And then also really thinking about describing those symptoms. I know it's really hard to understand what shortness of breath feels like a lot of times, especially if you haven't experienced it. So it was really helpful, some of the words that you used to really describe that, Hanna. So both of you, and then seeking out, I noticed that you said, it's, you know, the healthcare providers are there to help you. And I think that's the best characterization that we really need to remember, that their job is to help you. And if you don't feel like getting helped, you don't feel like you're getting helped, well, there's something wrong there. And it's not wrong with you. It's wrong with the experience. It's wrong with the healthcare professional and the setting and what's going on. And we want you to feel empowered to be able to do something about it and to speak up and to get what you need out of that experience. And one of the ways that we can do that, that can help prepare for that, is the About Me form. And I think Renee, you mentioned it, and it's on our Special Olympics website, SpecialOlympics.org, under the COVID page, the resources page for COVID. And it helps to organize your thoughts and answer questions that are the pretty typical questions that healthcare professionals are going to be asking you. And so the more clear that you can be with them, I think the more you'll get what you want out of the visit too. So thank you both. I loved both of the videos. I hope that, and I expect that all your listeners will really, really appreciate it as well.
Awesome. So I'm just putting a few things on the screen for our listeners to make sure that they know that health professionals are there to help you, and we want you to feel empowered. And then also, if you go to, we'll put the links in the show notes on SpecialChronicles.com for this episode 391. But if you go to SpecialOlympics.org and look under COVID-19 resources page, I believe that's correct. So with that, just for the sake of time, we'll move on, and I'm going to go ahead and let Renee take over segment 2, and then after that we'll take a 2-minute sponsor break, and when we come back, then Hanna will lead segment 3, and we'll take another short little 1-minute break, and we'll come back with our final thoughts. So that's just for everybody on this episode, as well as our listeners, to know what to look forward to. So Renee will be leading segment 2. We'll take a 2-minute sponsor break. Hanna will lead the third segment. We'll take about a 1-minute sponsor break, come back for final thoughts and social media plugs and resource plugs. And so we'll go ahead and you're listening to the Special Chronicles show. Are you on SpecialChronicles.com? And I'll let Renee take over this second segment.
Thank you very much, Daniel. And thank you, Dr. Bazzano, for answering that question about the About Me form. I have a few more questions I would like to ask you. First of all, as an advocate for health, how can a person with a disability best advocate for themselves during this pandemic?
Well, first of all, it's very important to understand how COVID-19 is impacting people with disabilities and people with intellectual disabilities particularly. There are indications that there's a higher risk of pretty serious illness and and some pretty severe outcomes from COVID. So it's really important to understand that as you're thinking about what kinds of activities you're doing and what kinds of activities you're doing in person, particularly those of people who have high risk medical conditions do need to be more cautious because the consequences, what happens after you get COVID, is worse. So the best way that you can advocate for yourself is to do everything that you hear about to make sure that you're preventing and keeping your risk low for COVID. First, wearing that mask for yourself and for others. Secondly, staying that 6 feet distant from other people outside of your family. And then third, washing your hands frequently, making sure that you use either hand gel or soap and water for 20 seconds minimum. Again, those are the prevention for COVID, but also keeping yourself healthy and fit, healthy in both mind and body, is going to keep your immune system strong, and that's also going to be preventing COVID. So what we're looking at is helping with fitness, making sure that you continue your daily activities, continue those activities, Renee, that you were talking about, and Hanna, that you were talking about, that you're doing, just doing them safely. And then also your nutrition, making sure you're eating healthy, you don't gain that quarantine 15, that you're drinking water, and that you're sleeping well, and that you're getting what you need to do to be able to cope using your skills in terms of making sure your mental health is strong as well. Whether that's definitely through physical activities, because that's tremendously helpful, and also through we might have to be physically distanced, but really not being socially distanced, being socially close to people, even if you have to be physically further apart. So keeping those people around you who care about you and who you care about and want to give to, keeping them close. And then doing things like mindfulness, like the yoga that you were talking about, that we also know help keep your mind strong as well. What we found in our COVID survey, we surveyed athletes around the globe, and most of our athletes actually are doing things to protect themselves from COVID, but 1/3 were not doing all 3 of those COVID prevention things, making sure that you're doing the hand washing, the distancing, and wearing a mask. And I'll say the biggest gaps were in wearing a mask. I just really want to stress that wearing a mask is incredibly important. And if we can continue to do that and expand and remember to do that, make it easy to do that, it really will go very far in preventing COVID.
Oh, awesome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bazzano. And
I hope that's helpful.
just so that you know, is very helpful. In fact, here in Hawaii, we are required to wear our masks outside. So there is no problem with the mask wearing. And I agree with what you're saying about the physical fitness and activities. Special Olympics Hawaii has gone over and beyond to make certain that all the athletes are included virtually. We have live workouts, we have dance parties, all kinds of physical activities to keep us active. We even had our first virtual Alkake Classic season. That focus was physical fitness, and we will be having another one for the Holiday Classic. So kudos to Special Olympics Hawaii for ensuring that all the athletes are included, they're active, and not isolated.
Fantastic. You know, we did find on our survey that 75% of the athletes were feeling more isolated than before COVID. It really is a problem, and really it is. Kudos, congratulations to Special Olympics Hawaii. And I know that the Special Olympics programs around the world are reaching out to the athletes. And when the athletes are connected with their programs, in our survey, we found that those were the athletes who were actually also doing more preventive measures for COVID. They were the ones who were more often using their masks and social distancing and washing their hands. So those connections really do make a difference.
They do. They sure do. And for my next question, and thank you for the advice, you mentioned the About Me form, and that's really great. But do you have any other suggestions about how advocates can prepare for their doctor's appointments? Are there any other specific ideas or suggestions or anything else that they can bring so the medical team can best support them?
Oh, thank you. The About Me form, I think, is a great start. And if I can just add one more suggestion, I would say, first of all, the videos that you had prepared, that both of you had prepared, are really helpful. I think for the people who I've talked to, and then also just preparing in your mind. So practicing before you actually go can be very, very helpful. So I would leave you with that. I know we have to do a sponsor break right now, but the more you can practice what you're doing and be familiar with it, I think that helps prepare you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bazzano. That's actually a really good suggestion. So thank you.
Awesome. That is, so we're gonna go ahead for the we'll run a little bit behind schedule, so we'll go ahead and take a quick sponsor break. When we come back, we will hear from Hanna. She leads our third segment with prevention tips and concerns for our Special Olympics community dealing with this global pandemic, COVID-19. All that's coming up right after the break, right here on the Special Chronicles show. Our Inclusive Health Conversations series continues right after the break.
Hi, my name is Lisa Noble, and I'm a ComEd Energy Force Ambassador and an athlete with Special Olympics Illinois.
Hi, my name is Daniel Smrokowski, and I also am a ComEd Energy Force Ambassador and founder of a company called Special Chronicles.
The ComEd Energy Force program is a program that hires people with disabilities to teach the public how to save energy and money.
It's the country's first energy efficiency program of its kind.
Saving energy is especially important while everyone is at home due to COVID-19. We're using more electricity than ever before. Just think about how many more times you are opening the refrigerator door these days.
And while the economy is stressed, it's more critical than ever to save money where we can. Following these tips can save energy and money in this time of COVID-19.
Wash your clothes in cold water and use the dryer sparingly.
Your dryer can take up to 7 times more energy than the washer.
Turn off and unplug any electrical devices or power strips you are not using.
Electrical devices can continue to zap power even when turned off if they're still plugged in. We call them vampire devices.
Use LED bulbs.
They use 25% less energy than incandescent bulbs and last up to 25 times longer, saving you lots of money over time.
Keep your refrigerator between 35 and 38 degrees.
And be sure to use Energy Star appliances.
And last but not least, check out ComEd.com/home savings for more tips and rebates.
Lisa and I would like to thank you for taking the time to listen to us today.
Remember, we are all in this together.
Stay healthy.
And stay safe.
Bye.
By listeners like you. Please support this podcast at specialchronicles.com/give. That's specialchronicles.com/give. This episode is brought to you by the ComEd Energy Force Ambassador Program. The Energy Force is the country's first energy efficiency education program designed for and taught by people with disabilities. ComEd is powering lives and radio is powering us here at Special Chronicles. Learn more at specialchronicles.com/ComEd. That's specialchronicles.com/ComEd. Thank ComEd for the generous support of Special Chronicles. And we hope that you will continue to support us at SpecialChronicles.com as we're trying to raise $12,000 by November 2020 for our 12-year celebration of podcasting at Special Chronicles. And a brief before we head back for Hanna to lead the third segment, we have a quick PSA for the inclusion revolution, and hopefully you all will join us. We'll join Dr. Alicia, we'll join Renee, we'll join Hanna, we'll join myself in a part of this inclusion revolution movement.
We're not just athletes.
We are the ambassadors of an uprising. Peaceful protesters.
In a rebellion against anyone
who has a fear of difference.
Difference.
Our demands are
equality.
Dignity.
And the recognition of our
shared humanity. We will not stop.
or accept anything less.
Today, our world is
More divided than ever.
And coming together has never been more urgent.
The revolution
is inclusion.
Find out more at jointherevolution.org.
COVID-19, better known as coronavirus, has spread throughout the world. There are a few ways to help lower the spread of this respiratory disease. Wash your hands. Avoid touching your face, including mouth, nose, and eyes. Cover your coughs and sneezes. Monitor your symptoms and consult with your doctor. Stay at home and away from other sick people except for medical care. Clean and disinfect high-touch surfaces. For more information, please visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. Thank you.
You're listening to the Special Chronicles show right here on SpecialChronicles.com. You just heard a quick PSA for the Inclusion Revolution. We invite you all to go to jointherevolution.org to sign the Inclusion Pledge, watch the 50 Game Changers videos, and much more. And that last thing was a PSA for the Inclusion Revolution. I mean, that last one was a PSA for the for COVID-19 from the CDC. Yeah, there we go. Trying to let me go ahead and tone it over to Hanna for her to lead. We covered a little bit at the top of the episode, but I'll go ahead and tone it over to Hanna for to lead the third segment.
So thank you, Daniel, for that. So thank you for covering that. And my first comment was going to say is you just covered some prevention tips already. So my question for you, Dr. Alicia, is top prevention tips for dealing with COVID-19. Do you have any mental health tips for us?
I think that's an excellent question. We actually do, and we have mental health tips actually on our website as well through our Strong Minds program. So there are a number of them. I mentioned a couple of them, like making sure you stay active and have a routine, making sure you have an opportunity to have people around you who you're interacting with. Getting regular sleep is incredibly important to your emotional regulation. Making sure that you have some ability to, when things don't go well, making sure you have some strategies that you know about already, that you kind of know yourself when things aren't going perfectly. That might be meditation, that might be listening to music, that might be talking to a friend. Those are all very wonderful active coping strategies, and those are the kinds of things that we want you to be doing that are effective in getting you out of that bad mood when you've got just that, that voice in your head that's just telling you, oh my God, when is this going to end? I can't take this anymore. I'm not good enough. I am failing. That this is enough. This isn't worth it. All of those questions, those voices in your head, you can switch those by doing some of these coping mechanisms. And that's what we are encouraging in Strong Minds. And we can help you do that too through your program as well.
I want before Hanna continues, I want to just briefly bring up as a part of the Strong Minds if you could talk about meditating and how as athletes we can, in addition to yoga and everything, but how do you have any tips for us to help us to meditate? And I believe I heard on this podcast there's an app called I'm trying to find it on my phone here. It's called, maybe I don't have it anymore, but there's some, I think it's from Headspace Studios, I think. I think that's the name of the app. It's called Headspace. But do you want to comment on that and any other resources to help us when it comes to meditating?
Yeah, absolutely. There are a number of fantastic meditation apps. There's and I'll take 1 second to talk about what meditation is and what it can do. So really, when you meditate, you get in touch. You help yourself to get in touch with what's happening right now. Those thoughts that are racing about the future, or those regrets about the past, those are distractions. And what you really want to do is to get into your sense of the moment. So what are you sensing in the moment? Using your 5 senses to recognize that, and using your breath to make that happen, and to be at one with the moment. To let those thoughts go, because they're clouds. Thoughts are clouds, and if you can recognize that clouds are just going to move by, and if you can kind of just let yourself feel and not be judgmental about that feeling, that's what meditation can do, because then you're going to feel differently in a moment, even when you are having those bad feelings. So not only does meditation let you do that, and it lets you move from those negative thoughts to calmness, but it can also actually improve pain, and it can improve a number of other health conditions as well. And it can actually also help your mental health and your well-being and your health habits. So that's why we recommend it. We also can, there are a number of apps. One of them that I have on my phone is Calm. There are apps for children on meditation. There's some really nice ones where you think about breathing like you're different kinds of animals. And there are different kinds of meditation, like you don't have to sit there just completely quiet. Sometimes you can actually do active meditation, like a walking meditation, or even an eating meditation where you take a raisin and you put it in your mouth and you actually try to chew the raisin and concentrate on the raisin for as long as you possibly can, and think and recognize and feel all the sensations, the taste, the touch from your tongue, the smell of that in your mouth. And that actually does quite a bit for calming your body down.
Awesome. So we'll have to try to put a link to that Calm meditation app, as well as the Strong Minds resources on SpecialChronicles.com for this episode.
And get some raisins.
And raisins, yeah. I've got some raisins in my kitchen right on the other side of this wall. So
there's your challenge. Can you possibly, how long can you chew that raisin for and really be in the moment and feel it? So there are a number of activities that Strong Minds does. There are about 30 different activities like this that Strong Minds has to improve your emotional well-being, including some really nice meditation ideas as well. So they're available on the website. I really highly recommend using those, because our team has been fantastic in working with a number of athletes and families and psychologists to put all that together.
Awesome. I'll go ahead and turn it back over to Hanna to continue the segment.
Definitely. Thank you, Daniel. And wow, your ideas are so insightful, by the way, Alicia, because it's true. It's very insightful. That's the first thing I want to say. And then my 2 questions. One of my questions I have for you is, how is Special Olympics International supporting athletes during this challenging time of COVID-19?
So as we've talked about, many of the athletes are feeling isolated. They're really used to doing their routines and going to work and working out and meeting friends and being at Special Olympics to do that. And everyday life has changed for all of us, really. And you've seen athletes yourselves, you're coping. Some days are better than others. We are trying to follow the physical distancing. But we at Special Olympics are really trying to stay connected to the athletes. We're providing this community online, the sense of belonging by trying to communicate and reach out and make sure the athletes know what we are able to do, the at-home resources, the fitness, the emotional well-being that we were talking about with Strong Minds, the nutrition classes, and really trying as much as we can to keep connected. The virtual games along those lines as well. And the more we do this, the more we're going to be bringing out as well in the months to come, more and more resources to really try to meet this need for our athletes.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a really good response. And when you were talking about the resources, I was going to ask is, where can we actually find the resources to share with, Special Olympics and their athletes?
They are on our Special Olympics website, SpecialOlympics.org. And there's a COVID link on the homepage. Immediately, you just click on the COVID link and you'll get those. There are resources for athletes and families, and then there are resources for the programs also. I know we're out of time, it looks like.
Yep. Yeah. So we're gonna quickly move ahead. I want to make a quick note that backstage we'll tell that at Special Olympics we have developed a pack of about 30 cards that can be printed and or used digitally, featuring all the Strong Minds activities. These cards are all designed to be used by athletes, coaches, families, teachers, right?
Yes, absolutely. And we have all of that available on our website. We also have our information on return to activities in terms of we spent a long time. It was a really difficult decision to decide to have to suspend in-person activities, and we're in the phases of reopening. That's going to take quite a long time. We do not expect large events this year. And we are in a phased approach. So going slowly forward to make sure that we're doing everything that we need to make sure that we're preventing COVID during any kinds of practices or activities that we're having. And you can find information about our return to activities also on our website.
Awesome. And so for our video viewers, I put that banner, that link at the bottom, SpecialOlympics.org. But we'll also, for our podcast listeners, we'll put a link to the COVID page in the show notes for this episode 391 on SpecialChronicles.com. And speaking of the show notes, we want to remind you that you can follow us. You can go to SpecialChronicles.com. That's SpecialChronicles.com to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. All of our social media links are linked on SpecialChronicles.com. That's also the place to go to find the show notes. Just click the banner for the Special Chronicles show. Or wherever you're listening to the show, look in the description of this episode, and you will find the page for this episode where we'll put all these links and resources on there. And we want to remind you that you can also go to SpecialOlympics.org to follow Special Olympics International on their Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, as well as find the COVID-19 resources, Strong Minds, and other health resources. Any other social media plugs that you have, Dr. Alicia or Renee or Hanna, that you want to mention? We'll also link the videos in the show notes on SpecialChronicles.com. But any other resource, social media plugs?
I think that we could certainly provide those to you. And I want to just thank you, Daniel, for having me. And it's been such a pleasure to talk to you and Renee and Hanna. It's so incredibly important that we're having these conversations about inclusive health and what this looks like in the time of COVID. And it's been such a pleasure to talk to you and Renee and Hanna as advocates, and making sure that people like you are out there and sharing your experiences, sharing the wonderful advice that you give. So I'm just incredibly appreciative that you are that you have given me the honor of spending this time with you.
Awesome. So with that, do you want to share any advice for our Special Olympics community and what inclusion means to you, and final thoughts on your overall time here today on the Special Chronicles show? We'll start with you, Dr. Alicia, and then we'll go to Renee and Hanna as well.
Thank you. What does inclusion mean to me? Inclusion means that people with intellectual disabilities have the same quality access to healthcare, that doctors have the training necessary take care of people and serve people with intellectual disabilities so that nobody with intellectual disabilities feels excluded, has poor experiences, doesn't feel cared for, and is served poorly with poor quality health care. That's our goal with inclusion, is to make sure that everybody gets the health care that they need.
Awesome. And Renee and Hanna?
I want to say thank you, Dr. Bazzano. You really hit the nail on the head about inclusive health. I truly agree with everything that you're saying. Inclusion means to me that everyone, whether or not they have a disability, is included in all activities, and not just going to the doctor. They are included in work, going to school. They are included in relationships, having a family, getting married, all the things that we as individuals with IDD long for, but people look at us and say, nah, that's not possible. Well, we think it is. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much for all of you guys' awesome insights. Thank you, Dr. Alicia, for all the insights that you have about inclusive health and when not. So thank you for that. So what inclusion means to me is following all people. Every person has rights, should be celebrated for their gifts, is what inclusion means to me. And then for my final thoughts is live your life with an open heart and lead by example, because I believe in Dr. Alicia and Renee and Daniel is definitely leading by example. So thank you.
Awesome. And I want to also thank you, Dr. Alicia, for taking the time. I agree as well with everything that you said about the importance of inclusive health, and I definitely agree that as we continue to get this message out by Renee, Hanna, and myself, sharing all stories on behalf of the over 6 million athletes across the globe, and as well as you talking with the health professionals. Thank you for your work and all of our work to really encourage inclusive health, so we can all live in this society together. So thanks again for coming on this Special Chronicles show. Once again, our guest has been Dr. Alicia Bazzano, Chief Health Officer at Special Olympics, and co-hosting along with me has been Renee from Special Olympics Hawaii and Hanna from Special Olympics Colorado. I am Daniel from Special Olympics Illinois. You have been listening to the Special Chronicles show. This has been episode 391 of the Special Chronicles show. Remember, go to SpecialChronicles.com to listen, subscribe to all of our podcasts, and so you never miss an episode. We have new episodes dropping weekly on SpecialChronicles.com and podcast apps everywhere. So we'll see you right back here next week. Remember, stay subscribed. All of October, we have new episodes dropping of a Unified at Work series live from O'Hare International Airport. So all that is really exciting. We'll be bringing you all that in celebration of National Disability Employment Awareness Month. So stay right here on SpecialChronicles.com. We'll be back next week. And until then, remember, choose to include. Until next week, remember, choose to include.
Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
All right, go ahead and stop the audio. Let me just check. There we go. I think Christy might have left, but yeah.